Do you have one of those nostalgic memories that you will never forget? One of those memories that spark a warm, cozy feeling inside? I would like to say that I have many of those memories, but it would take them a while to surface. But there is one that simply stands out above the rest without hesitation. This wonderful memory I speak of is the first time that I went fishing. The excitement, my grandparents, and the fish I caught composed one of the happiest memories that I can recall from my childhood. It was a Saturday afternoon at my grandparents' house on Lake Logan Martin, and the temperature started to cool to a more pleasant one. I had been begging my grandparents all day to take me fishing. My grandfather was an avid fisher all his life, as well as my grandmother, and they spent most of their retirement out on the water. That day they gladly agreed to take me fishing. I was so excited I could hardly control myself. As soon as said we were going fishing, I grabbed my pole and started heading towards the door. I was stopped very quickly. I was about to get my first fishing lesson. My grandparents were seasoned anglers, and they began to tell me all the things I would need as a fisherman. My grandfather began to show me tackle boxes packed full of rigs and line, the different fishing poles, and different hats I would need to protect me from the sun. Although it was a lot to take in at first, the whole process excited me. It seemed as if they were a part of a fishing fraternity and that I was about to be initiated. After my grandparents and I got the gear together, we began the long walk through their big backyard to the dock. I had a pep in my step, one that I had never experienced before. I was walking tall. My grandparents were so excited for me, smiling and laughing at me the whole way. As we made it to the dock, cows were bathing in the water 100 feet away at the farm next door. They began mooing as if they were welcoming me to the water's edge. When we finally got to the dock, we began to set up shop and begin our afternoon of fishing. My grandparents took their time showing me how to hook the bait we were using and gave me countless other lessons I will never forget. During this whole experience, I could sense the love that each of my grandparents had for me. I began to look up to them more than I ever had that day. We formed a bond that could never be broken. I felt as if we were the only people on earth, and I was enjoying every minute of it. This fishing adventure we had set out on made me feel as if I was in heaven, and it was made possible by these two amazing people. As we finally got everything ready, my grandparents showed me how to cast the fishing line. It took a few tries, but I began to get the hang of it. As soon as the bobber hit the water, I began asking, "Where's my fish?" They soon taught me the art of patience. I waited. Nothing was happening. And being a child, I began to get upset. They comforted me and reminded me to once again be patient. Soon after, I noticed my bobber starting to move. I zoomed in on the bobber and wouldn't take my eyes off of it for anything. Again, the bobber began to move, but this time it was faster. My grandparents exclaimed, "Austin, be ready. Something's after it." I was ready, waiting to get my first fish. As we all watched in amazement, my bobber darted under the water. A fish had it. Reel it in, my grandparents exclaimed. I started reeling the fish in as fast as I could, struggling not to lose it. I kept reeling and reeling. My adrenaline was through the roof. As the fish got closer and closer, I started to be able to see it. I had never seen one like that before. I began lifting the fish out of the water, trying my best to get him onto the dock. I finally got the fish onto the dock, and I began to stare at it in awe as it flopped around on the dock. My grandparents yelled with excitement, "Austin, you caught your first fish." I quickly asked, "Pawpaw, what kind of fish is it?" My grandmother told me that it was a brim, and I began exclaiming like I had discovered some prehistoric animal that was thought to be extinct. In that moment, time stood still. I didn't know it at the time, but this day was one that I will never forget. I had caught my first fish with the two people I love most. The events of this day when I was a child created a memory that is one of the happiest I can remember in the 20 years of my life. The lifestyle and the lessons of fishing that I was exposed to that day carried over to my personality today, and I am grateful for that. The excitement of the fishing culture and everything in it, my loving and amazing grandparents, and the first fish that I caught changed my life. My grandparents taught me so much that day. They ignited the spark, and to this day I'm still hooked.